When it comes to thinking about non-clinical careers, where do you even start? There's the whole world of medtech, AI, lots of courses and degrees there. There's the whole world of management consulting, industry jobs, prepping interviews and CVs. What is actually essential in 2025 is what I want to get into today. I want to talk about the three non-clinical skills. So I've been obsessed with non-clinical careers over the last 5 years and now coach clinician founders and host a clinician founder podcast. And today I want to tell you about the changing landscape for doctors in 2025, the three non-clinical skills you must know, and how to start developing these skills today. Somewhere in early 2023, I was working full-time. I was working really hard as an emergency medicine registrar, and I was having a really tough shift. And at the end of the shift, I was stuck with one patient who'd been waiting to get their MRI for the last 8 hours. And suddenly, after having waited 8 hours, it was somehow my problem to bring them back the next day. And suddenly the whole logistics and the problem behind why this person hadn't had an MRI in the last 8 hours became my problem, not the radiologist, not the radiographers, not the hospitals, nobody else's problem, but my problem. And this was just a small example to show how the system is keeping you as a doctor stuck and is giving you more and more responsibility, but less and less resources and less influence and ability to actually do something about it. That was also a changing point for me to realize that if I wanted to make a real impact, if I wanted to fulfill my potential, then I had to look outside. And that's really a picture that paints what the changing landscape for medicine and for doctors is in 2025. There's two big things that are happening, right? There's clinicians who are realizing and recognizing that the system is holding them back, is getting them stuck. And at the same time, there's an entire huge boom in the ability to go from idea to action when it comes to launching your own business or something entrepreneurial or a mission or a charity, something that you really care about. The ability to make a change is becoming easier outside on an independent side, thanks to AI, thanks to regulations, thanks to freedom of money, thanks to the reorganization of social media. And on this side, it's getting harder and harder to actually make a difference in your role and do what you really chose medicine to do for. And that kind of takes us into the three skills that you cannot afford to ignore in 2025. So the first skill really is positioning and visibility. And I know that sounds all fluffy in management speak, but positioning and visibility is going to be key to the opportunities that come your way. And you're going to want to unlock these opportunities that are not currently being presented to you within the system that you're working in. So how do you position yourself and how do you get visible? It's quite simple. Visibility is how often do people actually listen to you? How often do you actually speak up? Which platforms are you present in? You're present at work, but what happens beyond that? Are you present in forums? Are you present in conferences? Are you present in teaching schedules? Are you on stage? Are you on social media? Yes, social media is the new CV. So are you using these platforms for your advantage? If you are, then you are visible. If you aren't, then you're not visible. It's as simple as that. When it comes to positioning, I want you to think about three things. There's credibility. So what education do you have? What degrees do you have? That's your credibility. The second piece is offer. So what is it that you're offering to the world? What is the problem that you're solving? And you don't need to be a business owner for this. You can be somebody still in training, but someone who's really passionate about an area, a particular thing within your clinical context as well, that lets people know that if this is the problem they have, they need to come to you. And it's something to choose and start and keep building towards. Don't hold on too tightly because it will change over time, but choose one and let that take you to various iterations of that offer and that problem solving. So credibility, offer, and the third bit is belief. So how often do people get the opportunity to believe in you? And what makes them believe in you is your journey, is your story. What have you overcome? Who are you to be solving this problem for them? If you can think about credibility and belief, then you've got the positioning right. If you can align the three of those, you've got those right. Combined with visibility, it's going to be a hugely transformative thing for your career in 2025. No matter what you're doing, whether you're staying in medicine, whether you're choosing to leave, whether you're going to industry, whatever it is, this is key, right? The second big skill that I want you to think about is risk tolerance. Now, as medics, we manage risk all the time, but the best way to manage risk is to not have risk at all. And that's what we've been taught to do. That's the only way we see the world. And we really wouldn't do a procedure, wouldn't take on a patient if it means more harm than good, right? However, when it comes to anything non-clinical, the harm is not as bad as we often make out to be. Even the worst case scenario of the harm is really not a life or death situation. And there can be increased tolerance to that. And in fact, the more comfortable you become with taking on that risk, the more likely you are to unlock the rewards on the other side. It's kind of like dipping fruits into hot sugar. If the sugar is not hot enough, then it's not going to be crispy and crunchy. You've got to get to that point where you have the risk of burning the fruit, but you're going to unlock a whole new set of rewards on the other side. So risk tolerance really comes with huge benefits. And if you're going to step out of the framework that's currently holding you back to do something bigger, more meaningful, you've got to think about risk tolerance, right? The third big skill that you need to have as a clinician in 2025 is implementation. I mean, I speak with so many clinicians who have been sitting on an idea, who have written down every version of it, who've mapped out and spent hours and hours and hours, maybe even years, thinking about all of the possibilities, everything that could go wrong. But when I ask them, have you tested this at all? The answer is often no. Even as simple as having a conversation with somebody else about it, having a conversation with your ideal buyer or the person who this would impact and implement, the answer is unfortunately often a no. And they've been coming up with an entire world in their mind and perhaps even writing it down, but they haven't started implementing it, often with multiple layers of assumptions of if I do this, then this happens, then this happens, then this happens. And that's all fine and good, but the honest truth is it has no value unless it's actually out there in the world. And there's really simple ways in which you can start doing that. It's as simple as having a conversation, asking somebody else's opinion about your perspective, getting that feedback, being like, oh, that's not how I thought about it. And the sooner you can start doing that, the sooner you can start failing forward and making out your mistakes and learning where to. So how do you start developing these skills today? Positioning and visibility. Pick a platform, whether it's a conference, whether it's a stage, whether it's social media, whether it's written text, whether it's a newsletter. Pick one and start doing it regularly. Second one, risk tolerance. We're all probably doing some project or the other, whether quality improvement or management. Think about what are all the risks and how can you take on a little bit more risk and what is the reward that comes on the other side. And for implementation, I know you've got some ideas cooking in your brain. Who's one person you could speak to start getting some feedback on that idea? I want you to start doing that today. And if you're finding that challenging, looking for some inspiration, check out the Clinician Founder podcast linked here or here and get started with taking action.